So, hello everyone. Hope everybody had a good holiday break from school and had time to spend with family and friends. And we're back to January. So, welcome to our first 2022 Tech Talk Tuesday. And for this month, we have a topic that's relevant to all, resume writing. Now, I can tell you as a technology manager, I hired many people, and I personally think that a strong resume could make all the difference. Now, I know it doesn't get you the job, but it does get the attention and interest of the people who make those decisions. So it's very good to have a strong resume. Now, for those that register for this event, we'll be sending an email for those that are interested. We are offering one-to-one sessions to review your resume and get feedback and recommendations. So watch out for the email in a day or two. And if you're interested, let us know through the email. So before we jump to the main part of the session, I wanted to go over some exciting WIT announcements now. So I want to talk about, so we're in slide 2, Karina. So perfect. So our mentoring circles. So we're off to a great start. We kick off the mentoring circles the second week of January, and they're going to run through the end of May. And we have 6 circles that are being run by young professionals. We have a total of 25 students, and it ranges from freshmen all the way to seniors. So we're off to a great start. We're very excited about this program. So thank you to all the girls that register for the program. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of benefits and exciting discussions as part of these mentoring circles. Now, our Tech Tuesday, our educational sessions will continue on the last Tuesday of every month until the end of May. So join us for next month in February. We're going to have a session on preparing for college visits. I know a lot of students are preparing for spring break and are going to be planning sessions. So it's a great opportunity to get a lot of tips to have an effective and a good mentoring college visit. So. And lastly, I want to talk about the 2022 WIT scholarships. So the applications open up on February 1st. So any seniors out there, or if you have any seniors that missed the session, please remind them the application opens up on February 1st for the WIT scholarships. There's 2 types of scholarships. There is a renewal financial need base, and then there's a scholarship that's open to all, that's non-renewable. Everybody can apply. So those are the 2 types of scholarships. And like every scholarship, there are requirements. So watch out for the email for reminders for people to sign up for these scholarships. So very exciting. We're very excited for this year because it's our first year that we open up as a nonprofit organization, and we're we're granting scholarships. So that's very exciting. So enough of announcements. Let's move on to the main part of the event. So I want to introduce you to the 2 young ladies that are going to be presenting the resume writing workshop. So we have Karina Herrera, and she is a digital marketing coordinator at ExpressSync. And we have Alex Ilarianov. I know I'm probably mispronouncing it, Alex, but she's a cloud engineer at Hitachi Solutions. So welcome, Karina and Alex. Take the floor.
Awesome. Thank you, Stella. So my name is Karina Herrera. I just started as a digital marketing coordinator about almost 1.5 years ago. I work a little bit more on like the creative, like marketing side, but I have a little bit of that digital background focus. So that does kind of enable me to have a little bit of a tech background, but I'm really excited to help you guys out. And when I was first starting out with building my resume, I had no guidance, nowhere to begin. So I hope this is giving you guys a really good foundation in order to kind of reiterate your resume in the future. So we'll be kicking it off. Things are really important when you're considering building a resume. Here is an example that we had put together. We think does a really good job of giving the basics and providing either the the person that will be interviewing you or looking for your resume, this does a really good job of giving all the information they need and some additional. So first thing you kind of want to focus on is your personal summary. I know that high school students, you might have jobs, you might not have any jobs at the moment, whether you're a sophomore, freshman, junior, senior. This personal summary really just gives you a short sentence or two summarizing what you're looking for and how can you contribute to that position you're seeking to apply for, whether that be a job or an internship, or maybe even like an organization or club that you're trying to get into. So just giving them a little bit about yourself, not too long, just something short and sweet that kind of sells you in a little bit more of an elevated place. So another thing is education and credentials. This is probably going to take up the bulk of your resume since you are in high school. This is really what you want to focus on, and this is probably what's going to really sell you for any potential job or internship or organization. It's great to just keep your high school right at the top where it's located, when you're expected to graduate. And something to know also is if you do have a GPA at 3.0 or above, it's great to include that. I know some people really like to see that, and it shows that you're a committed student. So noting that in there if that applies to you as well. You also want to include any awards and or honors that you have received. You know, a lot of high schools do honor rolls or National Honor Association and stuff like that. So including that, and you can even go as far to say how long you held those credentials or were a part of those organizations also. Another good example is if you had received any awards throughout your time in school, and including those there as well. So just noting that you really just want to put your best foot forward and include anything and everything that will help you sell yourself and help close the deal on whatever job or internship you're really looking to secure. So next we can focus on skills and certifications. I'm sure a lot of you have to take some form of computer class. So you can include saying you're either proficient or knowledgeable, or just keep it as simple as including what softwares you are familiar with. In today's age, I'm sure you're going to have to use some type of computer software. So listing out either Microsoft, or if you know how to use Adobe, will be really good to list out. If some of you have jobs that required a specific certification, those are also great to include also, such as like CPR, and this was just another example. Scuba diving for this specific resume would have been relevant here, but just any other certifications that you have gotten along the way, definitely include those. Like there's never enough to have on here. And then moving on to activities. So I'm assuming if you're on here in our workshop right now, you are most likely quite involved in school and a part of a few organizations and whatnot. So definitely include those here. This is really great because it shows that you take a little bit more initiative. You do things in and outside of the classroom. And please note that this is not related to just school-specific organizations. If you are a part of different clubs and organizations outside of school, or you do some volunteering even, those are also great things to include and something that everyone wants to see. Those only really help your case out there also. Moving on to professional experience. If you do have any professional experience, whatever job that may be, include it. Even if it wasn't an official job, for example, babysitting, that's still something that you can use to your advantage, and employers love to see anything and everything that you have on there. So just including that, the name of the business or where you worked. You can go as far as to include the location, Please make sure you do include your position so you are transparent there, and how long you held that specific role for. Here, we do want to include a few bullet points explaining what you were in charge of doing, your responsibilities, and how you really contributed to the overall business or organization. So for lifeguard, we put moderate beaches and respond to swimmers or beachgoers in need of assistance. Placing that bullet sounds a lot better than, oh, I watched swimmers and made sure that they were not in any harm. So really try to elaborate and kind of differentiate your verbiage on those bullet points, because the way that you really explain the role that you held can set you apart from other people. And it really kind of just looks a lot better. So another tip that I use is to kind of use different types of verbs, and even like Google how you can explain things better, or you can even look up a job description of that specific job that you held and get a little bit of examples there to help if you need any assistance there. But lastly, always at the top of your resume, you should just follow your first name, last name, your contact information. Nowadays, you don't necessarily have to put your exact like home location. You could probably just do like your city. In this case, it would be Jacksonville, Florida, and put a phone number that you could be reached at and an email address. So these points are really just the absolute like core of a basic resume that you're going to need going forward. So just as long as you have these, you should be good to go. Any questions so far?
Yeah, I was going to encourage the girls, if there's any questions, I mean, you can put the questions on chat, but we do encourage you. Any questions, feel free to take advantage. These girls are here to help you build your resume. So any questions, just anyway, jump in. And the other part is I want to also encourage, as Karina said, in the professional experience about the verbiage and how you phrase things. And this is where having multiple people look at your resume and give you feedback and recommendations, it's good practice. Don't be shy about asking, and that's why we're offering after the session, if you want feedback and recommendations to sit down with someone, we're offering that. So keep that in mind. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. So moving forward, these are a few important tips that I think back to myself when I was in high school. I didn't necessarily know, but have learned along the way. And these little tips, which you might not think make a big impact, really do kind of dictate whether or not you'll be moving on to the next round, or you even receive a call back. So one thing to know is try, and if not even try, just keep your resume one page. When you have multiple pages, sometimes your resume might be thrown out, and this might be for more established jobs in your future when you're applying to maybe internships in college as like a junior, senior, and beyond. Once you get past the first page, no one really takes a look at it. So just try and keep all your information so it's easy for the person who's going to read your resume to just scan everything really quick and see if they want to choose you and go forward with you or not. Another thing is using a professional email. Even nowadays, even people applying for entry-level jobs, you would be surprised at the amount of people that use unprofessional emails. And I'm talking about those emails that you start maybe right when you get your first email, like stargirl5@gmail.com or something like that. Use a professional email. If you don't have one already, make one. Something as simple as like the first letter of your name and like your last name, or switching it up a little bit, just to make sure that it's professional and people will be reaching you at this email. So make sure you're putting your best foot forward there also. Another thing would be to save your resume as a PDF. This one doesn't seem like it would be a big deal, but there's such different softwares out today. And for example, Apple and Microsoft are very different. And if you create a resume on Apple software, which is Pages, you might not always be able to open it on a Microsoft. So if someone can't even see your resume and reach out to you, that's kind of already a fail. So just save it as a PDF. It's the safest bet, and you can't really go wrong with that. Another thing is save your resume appropriately. Name the file, your first and last name in your resume. Some people, eventually later in your life, you might have very different iterations of your resume. You might be making a different resume for different types of jobs and you want to tailor it appropriately. So you might have different names for them, but just make sure you're always naming them professionally, and it's something that people can really look up easily. So if you put yourself in the shoes of a manager who's hiring someone, they are going through multiple resumes and they just want to find easy access to you as fast as possible. So just make it simple for their end. And then back to what I was saying on the previous slide, differentiating your verbs goes a long way. And I think it's a habit that you can get into early on, so then you don't have to worry about this in the future. Most likely for the jobs or positions that you'd be applying for, this might not apply in your case, but there are robots kind of that scan your resumes and really look for any grammar mistakes, or even if the very first word of your bullet points repeats itself, that resume is automatically thrown out. So just using different action verbs for each bullet and not repeating any of the same words will keep you in the system and won't throw you out. Something that I have found to be very useful is Googling a verb list for resumes. So you get a lot of different action verbs, and you can kind of tailor it to your own resume and what works best for that specific bullet point. But I think that's something absolutely key that kind of changed my job application experience there. And then another thing is just keep it clean, keep it simple, keep it easy on the eyes. There's a lot of hiring managers that like a very basic resume, and it goes a long way making sure everything's aligned. So if you see like high school awards, skills and certifications, activities and projects and whatnot, all those topics are bolded and they all align correctly. So just making sure that everything's even and nothing's out of place, and it's all very organized. Again, make sure there's just no grammar mistakes, and it's really helpful to have other people proofread your resume. And it might be intimidating at first, but it really truly goes a long way, because something you may have missed, someone else may have caught and helped corrected that mistake. And then again, as I said before, if your GPA is at 3.0 or above, feel free to include that and highlight that in your resume as well. But again, let me know if there are any questions.
Shy group.
Is there anything in the chat? I see a notification for 2, but I don't think I can pop it up on my end.
There was just one question from Francesca. Should it be summarized to 1 page? And I said, yes, 1 page is ideal.
Okay, awesome. Then we will move on there. And then lastly, if you are feeling very bold and want to go above and beyond, Alex and I were brainstorming a little bit before, and we have had really good experience with using a creative resume, which differs from your basic resume. It's a little bit more graphic design influenced, utilizes a little bit more colors, maybe even a photo. This is actually how I got my most recent job. And in the past, I was told basic resumes are the way to go. I think it's nice to have one of each and kind of just test your way through. And in my case, it worked out. So once again, these are optional. And if you want to go for it and try and create one, go for it. All you can really do is search for a template on Google. I believe this one is from Canva, and Alex has used it before and she's had really good experience with it. You will be including the exact same information as you included in your basic resume. You will just be applying a little bit more of a more aesthetically pleasing resume. So just, you can even tailor it to a specific role, as I said, but I'm assuming most of you won't tailor your resume to a specific role until in the future. But just if this is something that interests you, you can also reach out to us and we can help you along the way or send you some resources to guide you on where to get more resumes such as this. But it's basically the same thing, just prettier. Any questions there? All right. Alex, I'm passing it over to you now.
Awesome. I'll give myself a little further of an introduction. I'm Alex. I'm a cloud engineer at Hitachi Solutions. I also teach for LinkedIn Learning about infrastructure as code, specifically for Microsoft's cloud computing service, Azure, as well. On top of that, I actually also teach courses to help women get certified in the AZ900, which is Microsoft's Azure Fundamentals course. So I'm going to be focusing on creating a tech-focused resume. So it's very similar to how you'd create a normal resume. I personally like the more creative style. For my current resume, I actually created my own logo. I made fun of with my own initials, which are AI. So kind of taking advantage of that and making it more into a tech lens. One of the key things is, one, making sure your contact information is easy to spot. With your education as well. So this is maybe more for your freshman year of college and you're looking to get into an internship, but you might not have a lot of work experience. But one thing you can utilize is your projects. Even in high school, if you're looking to get into tech, I know in high school I was actually relatively dorky. I had a lot of coding projects. I made my own games. I also was on Engineering Olympics, since that's something my school had. So utilize those projects, put them on your resume, because it makes you stand out compared to somebody else, because you're putting yourself forward. And one big thing too, when it comes to your tech resume, is having what I call a technical toolbox. So a technical toolbox is a list of the programming languages you might know, especially as you continue to learn more in college or on your own. For example, this resume is a great example where if you look at the skills, it's super easy to spot which programming languages they know, for JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. So like right off the bat, looking at this resume, I can tell this person is more likely to work in front end of web development. And on top of that, they also have below their name what kind of career they want to go into with their career objective. So this makes it super easy to find where this person might fit with their internship or job, especially since when it comes to an internship, you want to make sure you're putting somebody on the right team so that they're getting value of that internship, because it wouldn't necessarily make sense to put someone who is aspiring to be a web developer on the cloud engineering team, because I can guarantee you they most likely will be miserable that entire time. And if you see on this resume within the contact information, they also have their LinkedIn list. LinkedIn, create one in high school. It's huge. It's basically your online resume. Creating a LinkedIn presence is really important in today's professional world. Whether you're in college or just getting started with your career in high school, it's a great way to show your entire career history online in a very simple to read manner. And almost every single professional uses it in some way. And it's also a great way to get into contact with people who possibly have a job that you're interested in. I can tell you the amount of times in high school, we were given a task to message actually a researcher or college professor that was studying a topic that we were interested in. So I actually messaged them on LinkedIn and they helped me understand their research and gave me a further understanding of what they're doing, which is super valuable since networking is something that you'll do throughout your career, and learning how to use LinkedIn, even in high school, is an invaluable thing. So get started with LinkedIn as quick as possible. And honestly, don't be afraid to reach out with people on it. You can connect with me on it if you'd like. I'm sure Estella and Karina and Faraz would all agree. If you create a LinkedIn, connect with us on it. We want to help grow your network and connect you to other people, since that's kind of our whole point of helping you grow your resume and your career and your foundation in tech. Utilizing LinkedIn and your online presence will be a big thing. And that kind of goes with projects as well. So with projects, you want to be making sure you post those things online. With tech, there are a lot of resources for that. Personally, I use GitHub a ton. I also created my own website to post blog posts, share my information. It has my resume, as well as kind of fun things like books I like to read and other initiatives I'm working on. It's a super simple thing to do. I paid 99 cents for my domain name. But also at the same time, it puts you ahead of somebody else that might be going for that same job. Because I've actually been told by my current employer that they Googled me, and the first thing they saw was my website. And that website showed that I was actually passionate about the field that I'm in. And it was a simple thing. I think I spent literally half an hour on my website, and it's something that will put you ahead of a normal candidate. And growing your online presence is huge. I can guarantee you, not only will your employer Google you, but colleges are now Googling you too. I'm sure some of us have read articles before about students losing their college, their spot in a college or job due to something they posted online. I know in high school, you probably don't think about like what you're putting on Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, but it's genuinely true. Whatever you post online will be there forever. Being on the cloud engineering end, I know how to pull that archived information. Even if you deleted it, it's still there. So even if you think you deleted it, it's still there, and we can grab that information. So genuinely watch what you're putting online, because that can also ruin your career and college chances, unfortunately. One thing as well is put those achievements in clubs or volunteering efforts on your resume. I know this sample doesn't have it, but I actually have on my personal resume, I have a volunteering section of things that I've done. So I ran the Chicago Marathon and fundraised over $1,500 for it. And that's something that gets to tell yourself about your own personality that's outside tech. Because as much as we want to show like how much we're passionate about the field and what we're good at, we also want to show who we are as people. Because the employer is not only hiring your skills, but they're also hiring you as a person. And being able to fit in the culture is a big thing, regardless of the job. Even if you're working at a retail store, you want to make sure you fit in with your team and that you can get along, because strife against your team will make everybody's job more difficult. So showing your personality in your resume is a great way, which is going back to Karina and mine's more creative resume. It shows our personality in a way that a traditional resume might not necessarily show. It shows maybe that we put more effort and cared about what we did, versus following that traditional format. And one big thing too, when you're getting started, is the career objectives. Since you won't have much experience yet, take full advantage of what you want to do with your career and let the employer know what you want to do and what you want to learn. So for one of my first jobs was my freshman year of college. It wasn't necessarily something in tech, but I placed a career objective description of what I wanted to do, that I wanted to do something with data analytics and pursue more of a computer science background career. So I worked actually at a law firm as an administrative assistant. But because of my career objective, they actually started giving me more technical activities. So I was actually helping them with data entry and managing their client data, which then actually in the future allowed me to use that experience and change, going back to Karina's verbiage, change that verbiage of what it's like working to law, but change it into more of a tech-based format. There are so many ways that you can change, entering something into an Excel spreadsheet to utilizing data entry software to optimize a organization's data. So like there's so many different ways you can word it, and the way you word it will definitely put you ahead. And Karina, can you go to the next slide for me? I do want to ask if anybody has any questions so far. Since I do know a tech-based resume can be kind of overwhelming. And then one thing too, so some tips and tricks. With today's current HR systems, your resume will actually go through an automated system first. So HR typically won't see your resume unless it passes this automated system. So online, you can Google a resume parser, and what it will do is match your resume against those automated systems to make sure it can find those keywords. So when you're applying for a job, look at the keywords in the job description and make sure you have that in your resume, because then that automated system will pick up those keywords and you'll get past that first screening that a person wouldn't necessarily look at. So that's one of the biggest things today, is making sure you have those keywords and catering it to that job description. And then going back, utilizing online tools to showcase your project. GitHub is huge. You can see how you're interacting with other projects. You can also post your own projects or code and develop on top of it. Every organization uses GitHub in some way. I use Git every single day in my current development life. So if you pursue a tech career and you're on the coding side, you will use Git. So understanding how to use it early on, it's super simple. And if anybody wants to set up a meeting, you can actually create a really cool resume in an easy way on GitHub. And you can actually link it for free on your normal resume to put you ahead. So it's kind of a fun way to show that, hey, I'm interested in tech, and look at this fun resume that I built using code. So if anybody wants to kind of set up a one-on-one meeting, I would love to help anybody set that up and get started. Having a website or YouTube or blogs or creating an Instagram page of what you're interested in is really big, even if it's not in tech. Like, for example, my partner is super into crocheting and they have a crocheting Instagram, but that's something you can actually showcase that, hey, this is something I'm really into and I'm managing the social media page to post my content. It's kind of a weird way to put yourself ahead of other people, but it also makes you stand out because you're taking this external initiative to put yourself ahead, but also to get your content out there. Everything that we do today is online, and when you pursue tech, everything will continue to be online. So you want to get ready to have your persona out there. That's actually one thing I do kind of often, unfortunately, is I Google myself to see where I appear on the search engine optimization. Since employers will Google you, your college, if you most likely will Google you. And it's better if you're like that top result with absolutely amazing content. Because I can tell you right now, even my current employer, they quoted my own website to me during my interview, and it's still mentioned all the time. So my website was, when I first started getting into cloud engineering, I didn't necessarily have the role yet. So my title on my resume, on my website, was Cloud Engineer in the Making. And my employer quoted at one point saying, "You're no longer a cloud engineering in the making, you're now a cloud engineer." Which is one of the sweetest things ever, but it's one of those things where they did Google me and look at my website and saw what I was interested in. And it's something that they'll mentally keep. And I kind of love this kind of cartoon that says, "So I looked at your Facebook page and, oh man, there's no way you're getting this job." I'm sure Estella and Ferris, if they've interviewed somebody before, probably have looked them up on Facebook to see what they're posting, because you don't want to hire someone who's posting inappropriate things on Facebook, because your online presence still represents what the company is or what the college believes in. And that's one of the biggest things, is you want to kind of make sure your Facebook is appropriate, your Instagram, your Snapchat, because I know even in high school, I posted things that I wouldn't necessarily have on up today. I actually went on Twitter the other day and purged everything that I wouldn't be proud of, but I know that if somebody Googled it, it could still potentially show up, and those things can make you lose an offer. And that's something you have to keep in mind, is what are you posting online? Because in high school, we don't really think about those things. We think maybe that they're funny, but an employer in college might not think that way. And then if you can switch to my final slide, Karina.
Sorry, Alex, before, very good points on having your social media be clean, and that you're not, it doesn't show any negative things about you as a person. I guess the question I had on creating your own website, is there, for people that are interested, is it easy to do if you're not technically like savvy to, I mean, how difficult is it, Alex?
Oh, it's super simple. So I am not a web development person in the slightest. I will admit my JavaScript, HTML, CSS skills, non-existent. I am terrible at web development, but with a lot of tools today, so there's WordPress, Squarespace. I bought my domain through GoDaddy. So you can buy a domain on there for 99 cents. I think with tax, it ended up being $1.27. So it's something that's worth investing in, and that's a locked-in price for 1 year. And it's just snap code. Well, not even snap code. You literally just drag and drop what you want in,
Okay.
and it's super easy to edit. I think Wix is another one where you can actually get a free domain, but it will have your domain name .wix.com. So that's also a great way to kind of create a blog post, but it's super simple. There's a lot of online tools where you can kind of Google how to do something, but a lot of websites are websites that you can buy domain names from. They will have a drag and drop option where you just kind of click on the blocks and fill in that information. It's kind of a great way to also just put your resume on a website. The website doesn't have to be anything besides your resume, and it just shows that you're a little bit more passionate about it. And it's a great way to showcase your skills and be confident in yourself, because if you're confident in yourself and sharing what you're confident about to the world, it is attractive to an employer. I can tell you right now, last year we were in between 2 different individuals for a role, and we hired the women with an online presence. Her blog posts weren't anything to do with the job. She would occasionally respond to blog posts on either LinkedIn, on her website, about things that she was interested in, but she had that online branding that we saw that was beyond the other candidate who's kind of at the same level. So having that online branding is really, really important in today's technical world. I really like these kind of cartoons. That's an ability to smell fear is a quality I've never seen on a resume before, which is kind of like showcasing who you are as a person. I hope you don't have the ability to smell fear, but be yourself in your resume and on your online presence. Just be professional in all of it as well.
So Alex, there's a question on the chat. If someone is interested in creating their own website, how can they get help?
So I can help as well. I'd love to help kind of get that set up. I can also find online resources to send out, which I'll send forward to Ferris if anybody is interested in. There's a ton of things out there, and a lot of organizations are starting to simplify it. I would definitely look at Wix, GoDaddy, WordPress, and Squarespace. Those I would say are the top 4 that really simplify on creating a website, since you don't need a strong coding background for it. The biggest thing I would say is just buying your domain. If you do want a personalized domain and you don't want the .wix or .godaddy in it, since for my personal website, I wanted it just to be the first letter of my name and my last name, since it's a professional website to brand myself.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah. So
this gets us to the last part of the event. Again, we just have some reminders that for the students, the seniors, and if you have any friends, seniors that weren't able to attend, please remind them the scholarship application opens up February 1st. It'll be February 1st through April 30th, so there'll be plenty of time, but we want to make sure that you plan, you plan ahead so that you can apply for the scholarships. Very important. And next month, the Tech Talk Tuesday is preparing for those college visits. You want to make sure you register for that event. Again, spring is right around the corner, spring break. People are going to start planning those college visits. I remember going with my kids to college, and, it's not just going, it's like, let's go for a trip. There's a checklist of things to prepare so you have an effective college visit. You ask the right questions. So please join us next month to have a session on preparing for college visits. And then in March, we're planning to get a little bit more techie, because I thought, we're having sessions like this on resume writing. We've had some like soft skills. We want to get a little bit more techie in March, and we're going to have a session on basic concepts of coding. And even if you're not interested in coding or you think you are, it's a good session to tell you, we're going to show you, these are the basic concepts of coding. We're going to be using Python, show you a little demo with Python. Again, we want to get a little bit more techie for people to start understanding, maybe I like coding, maybe not. Anyway, interested for everybody to see that. That's going to be in March. Then in April, we're gonna have the session on the power of data. Everything is about data right now. And the things that you can do with the data, the visualization tools that are being used are pretty powerful. We're going to show you some visualization tools, but how companies are using data for their, data to make better business decisions. Again, a session on data in April. And again, the scholarship closes April 30th. So I encourage everybody to, all seniors to line up so you can apply for the scholarships. Any questions about the scholarships or anything that, about the upcoming events? No? Okay. The one thing is, before the session earlier, I believe yesterday, we sent out an email, those that register. We sent out some blank resume templates for those that don't have a resume and want to get started. We sent a blank template just to get started to fill it in. And a great opportunity is for you to sit down with one of our WIT professionals so we can sit down and review your resume, give you some feedback, some recommendations. It's a great opportunity. Even if you have a resume and, you just want to refine it and make some edits, again, have a second pair of eyes. And, I always say that feedback is a gift, because people are giving you a gift of something that could be better. So welcome anybody to take advantage of that. And one more, if you could, I don't think we're sharing anymore, but follow us on Instagram if you're not following us, so you can stay current on all the events and all the exciting activities that we have in WIT. So if anybody has any questions or not, I thank you, everybody. Thank you to Karina and Alex for putting this workshop together. Appreciate it. And thank you for everybody for joining the session, and have a nice evening. Thank you.